What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Chain. So, let's cover a few things in this market because, yeah, that's not what I wanted to click. Cover a few things in the market. Lots of shit happening, but yet at the same time, absolutely nothing is happening. Market is very sideways. It has been trending sideways for a long time. Lots of different things going on from the macro factors to everything. So, I want to cover a few things and kind of just show you guys some charts, even potential setups, things that I'm looking at, paying attention to, and just my thoughts lately because, I feel like for anyone and everyone in this market, regardless of what you hold, regardless of chain, it's been tough, very difficult unless you are fully locked in, still trenching it out. There's some runners here and there, you know, obviously, we've seen some every day there's ridiculous runners, right? Got this please coin. This is not to shill it. Please do not buy this thing, all right? But like there's still coins that are forming these bullish charts. Some things are still happening in the market, but overall, for me, when sentiment is this low, this is not the time for me personally to want and or to be jumping into, super high risk plays, every single day, every hour. It's like I love new launches, I love micro caps, shit like that, but lately it has definitely been a huge switch over the last, couple months here. So, obviously this huge downturn, whether it's the tariffs or, 20 other factors you can consider, it took a huge turn for Bitcoin. This is something I was waiting a long time for. I really thought this dump was going to happen over here, but of course we attempted another high, came all the way down. With Bitcoin, it still looks fairly good. Because for me, the divergence on the RSI is just insane. To me, this is trying to signal that we may have at least one more push up. Doesn't mean we're just going to run into a new high. When we see divergence like this and it looks like it wants to break out, we'll probably get a break. But again, we could get an easy push into resistance and then all the way down. I'm not saying, again, we're, altcoin season, next leg up, has been very questionable. I've been thinking about, if and when it's actually going to happen, very soon, if it's going to take a while. But I really do think a lot of different macro factors are going to have a huge impact in us really seeing alts have a massive rebound. One little thing though too is I think even with these tariffs, stuff like that, I think if Trump does for some reason call them off or things like that, with the tariff, I think we could see a pretty good bounce in the market. But because I've been focusing too, it's a lot of macro factors because a lot of the newer investors coming into the market have been a lot of institutions and a lot of people that have a lot of capital that only want to diversify a little bit into Bitcoin. And to them, diversifying into Bitcoin is already high risk. I feel like there hasn't really been a full blown spark, at least as of lately, for the want to be jumping into incredibly high risk stuff. Not even from us crypto investors, but just even outside legacy market investors, traders, things like that. So I want to cover a few things too, but like I said, Bitcoin still doing its thing. It's kind of just chopping, ranging. Like I said, divergence on it is disgusting. AKA, I don't know how this hasn't had a bounce at least yet. I mean, it looks like it's trying. We may see a triple bottom into a quad bottom. I'd say that'd be best case if this is going to hold into a move up, or we potentially just see this come down one more time. But in my opinion, I think we may have likely seen the bottom. Because I think for me too, watching Bitcoin, how it impulses and how it has impulsed many times in the past, more often than not, it usually does not end up retesting all the way down to a previous, daily time frame level, even weekly, until the cycle almost is kind of over. I mean, if we even look at 2021, a lot of people, I remember too, in what was this, March, April? Oh no, May. I remember in May, people thought Bitcoin was going to come all the way down to like 15, 16. Many people were calling for this correction to just retest, come all the way down. But obviously, this came down, had another bounce, ran up. And the only time it actually came all the way back was back when we were sitting at the middle of the bear market, right? And the way that Bitcoin is impulsed too, same thing. A lot of people when we were down here, this was a major level, right? If we like replay this, obviously price started moving, started impulsing. A lot of people at any sort of time over here, a lot of people are like, okay, this had a push up. Now let's wait for a retest. Potentially, let's get in if it dumps all the way. Lots of times when Bitcoin really starts moving, it doesn't actually come all the way down. And we've kind of seen that because it came all the way up here. But then also all of last year, Bitcoin price sat up here. The worst it came down was like midway, chopped until it ran up again. And then currently too, we are not fully all the way down from where it impulsed, right? And I think in bull markets, even when it starts to move, it's like, yes, we've seen minor corrections into minor corrections, or rather dips into a massive correction, into more dips, and then the whole crash. But I think the way Bitcoin impulses, or, I don't fully think we're going to come all the way down. But again, I think if we're going to sit sideways for a few months and continue to do that, yes, we may actually come all the way down, which, of course, I know that would kill a lot of altcoin bags and continue to kill them, right? But just seeing how Bitcoin impulses, even how here, instead of, really just dumping, going to zero, right? It kind of just chopped and chopped, built strength within this area, built into an accumulation range, into another huge impulse. But I think in my opinion here, I think we're going to chop maybe, like I said, we have a triple bottom, quad bottom over the next few weeks. If this is going to hold, and then we, like I said, we continue to chop. I want to see just the simple impulse, or the simple, kind of parabola to the downside, just actually get broken to the upside. To me, that would show a little bit more strength. But as for Bitcoin, that's kind of how I've been watching it. There's a lot of charts. BitTensor has been a coin I've been watching now for a long time. I think subnets are still so undervalued. But the thing with this market too, again, they are very high risk, guys. This is why I have not made full videos. Even though I've been saying it a few times, I want to make some videos covering some subnets. Thing is, again, it's like we've been wrecked on memes, different things, even virtual, a lot of AI agents. I don't want to cover certain things and topics when I know for a fact sentiment is really bad, and things can just pump and then dump within 2 days. And that's never my intention. I never want to try to just pump a coin strictly using, my YouTube channel. I want this to be very organic. I'm trying to give you guys, fairly strong projects. But when sentiment is this bad, I don't want to be talking about these high risk micro caps, shit like that. Because when sentiment is full-blown euphoric, everything's running, ripping, it's a lot easier to bring up stuff because people actually want to buy it. They're not scared to buy it, right? But when we're in such a downturn, I really think sticking to a lot more majors, more established projects is definitely one of the biggest things you can do. But with subnets, personally what I'm betting on is BitTensor at some point, if it can break back up, start an uptrend, and actually legitimately run into a new all-time high. This is going to spark huge interest in the ecosystem. And the reason why is just like everything else we've seen in different cycles, right? We saw, last cycle, for example, was Polkadot. Polkadot was a coin. I don't remember who was talking about it or anything like that, but Polkadot ended up getting a lot of hype over a span of time. At least there were a couple months where Polkadot was all of the hype. Polkadot ended up doing, a couple X's, 3, 5, 10X, right? But what did its underlying ecosystem do? The ecosystem ended up pulling 10, 20, 30 X's legitimately in a span of a couple weeks. I was personally in a few of those coins at the literal bottom. Polka City was one coin. That was a huge one for me. That was fun. But, Polkadot Eco, something like that, just in a sense where if a chain or something does get a lot of hype and attention and has a huge run, the underlying ecosystem, especially if it's something like BitTensor's, very demand-driven and they're building legitimate, really good products, I think there's just no reason why it wouldn't get attention, and also probably outperform the actual underlying asset, right? So that is like my bet with subnets. That's why, I'm not trying to just post a video, talk about it, for a day and watch it go up and down for 2 days. Um, so I don't know. I'd say for a longer term bet, yes, I love subnets and I will be adding to them. But again, I think I want to see macro flip. I want to see the market be way more risk on to be adding into a lot of things at the moment. Because me personally, I love low caps, micro caps. But, lately I just feel like it has not been the proper time to be just, diving full out into all these high risk plays when, there's still a lot of looming fear that, oh, we could go lower or things aren't in the macro still don't look good. We could go way lower. It can get worse, right? So that's kind of just been my mindset lately with the market, with a lot of different things. And ETH here too, this is something that I've been watching for a long time. I'm in the camp that I think if ETH can really spark a massive run, we will see alts have a massive recovery. I'm not even kidding. I think within a week to 2 weeks time of ETH finally coming back, having a decent run, I think a lot of altcoins are going to recover very quickly. Because I think there's a lot of people, and it's not even just for, a certain narrative, just there's a lot of very good quality projects are being built on Ethereum. And I think all those projects are going to benefit when ETH decides to run, right? But same thing, I just think in this market right now, everything is so bottomed out. It is nuts. You legitimately at this point can buy some of the top projects that were top projects 4 months ago at a 60%, 70% discount. And again, if the market would come back, you'd probably be able to make some really good gains. Because I feel like altcoins are low-key have been in almost like a bear market for a while. But like I said, I think if ETH just decides to really have, a run, macro conditions can actually align a lot more for full out risk on. Not have all this fear of random stuff happening. I think we're going to see probably some good recoveries with a lot of majors, and I think that in turn is going to end up having, a lot of lower caps and even just really good projects, established ones, decide to have a run. Because there's this altcoin chart. I think every single person has seen it. It's kind of how the altcoins have altcoin flow. It starts at Bitcoin, then you got ETH, then you got ETH and top 10, top 50 coins. Then you got low caps and micro caps and how everything just kind of moves like that. But we really have not seen that this entire cycle outside of Solana. But Solana itself only has a handful, of legitimate products or projects being built on it. And I think just Ethereum itself just has most of the top projects in the market at the moment. So, like I said, I'm still betting on ETH at some point having a recovery, but obviously lately it just has not looked good at all. Has not looked great whatsoever. But one coin too here, I have been focusing on a lot is Ondo. I think Ondo is probably just one of the easiest, to me, one of the most obvious just RWA coins. It is legitimately, you could play it as simply as it's the highest cap RWA. Maybe I should trade it. The fundamentals are incredibly strong with it too. It came into a fairly discounted area, kind of bouncing at this zone, but, same thing. This is a trade that, I've called in our Discord, but I think something like this, I think it's as long as this is going to just run and bounce, and not even just Ondo, but kind of betting on the entire market at some point, having a good bounce, something like that. Lately I really have not been degenning, jumping left and right into certain coins, even on recovery bounces, outside of just stacking onto conviction plays. That is mainly all I've been doing. But something like Ondo, like I said, I think RWA is going to be one of the top narratives going forward. I think tokenization is just super important, especially for, more major players looking for a real legitimate use case within crypto. Anything RWA, I think, is just fundamentally a fairly sound narrative to be paying attention to. even though I feel like the last few months I really haven't covered it, I've been almost fully AI. I think RWA is just a narrative you probably just shouldn't fade, you know? Even this like checks, IXS is still a coin I like a lot. There's a bunch of really good RWA coins, but same thing. A lot of them are built on ETH. They probably will not do too much unless ETH really has a huge push. And same like that's kind of what I'm getting at with a lot of this, you know. But even Sol here, I knew this would bounce at this level. This is probably the most obvious area for price to bounce. Usually though, it's got to bounce for a while. This is on a daily, so we're on a high time frame. Depending on how high this goes, it's not just going to recover from here. Absolutely not. When price bounces, it will chop. First, it's going to stop its downtrend, sit sideways for a while, actually show strength, then finally decide to push back up. Right here, this is not enough time for an actual, recovery bounce. I guess this is a little recovery bounce, but expect probably another 2 to 3 weeks of Solana kind of sitting before it actually decides to flip bullish and make another push to the upside from here. That's just, I've seen price bounce at key levels for 4 years, That's just how it is. Shit, unless, random macro factors or things can just pump the market in like 2 days, which does happen all the time, but, it's probably just going to chop, bounce around here, come down probably 1 or 2 more times before it finally makes another move up. But overall, it's still, Sol is still holding here, which is good. But, outside of that, that's kind of just some stuff I wanted to talk about in this video. Something, too, I have been looking at over the last couple months has been the market cap of stablecoins. If you look at a weekly, is this inverted? No, because if you look at the market cap of stablecoins, it's kind of like the inverted chart of, let me see here. I guess Bitcoin. Not necessarily, but the way I was looking at USDT dominance is this has just been in such an uptrend legitimately since 2017, right? And when we see, major dumps on the dominance, and again, keep in mind, if we invert this, when this dumps, aka when USDT dominance, goes up, in this case down, what is happening at this time? Usually it's, Bitcoin crashing because everyone's stabling up. People are selling their crypto for stablecoins. So that is why we see massive pumps here. When this dumps, this is when people are fully allocating into crypto, into Bitcoin, into ETH, into high-risk stuff, right? But we've kind of just been in this trend for a while, just holding, not doing too much. But I think, too, as long as this kind of holds, if we can start to see a downtrend really form, this is going to signal to me that, okay, people are still looking to ape into a lot of altcoins. And, we kind of, on a weekly, it is making lower highs and lower lows to a point. So if we see this continue and go down, that's going to be a fairly bullish thing, in my opinion. But, outside of that, guys, that's kind of what I wanted to cover in this video. Sharing a few thoughts on the market because I know lately I've not been nearly as active as I have been probably in the last year and a half. So still just watching the market every day. It's still doing its thing, but I appreciate you all watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.